Right, we're nearly there, just down here. See it. Don't know where Herbert is. Right, here we go. Big stick there. Can you see a leopard, Brian? Are you still there? Clothes still on. Excellent. I see the leopard. Hurrah! There she is. Hello. Oh, she's very skittish. Very skittish leopard. Look at her running. We are a long way from her, everybody. Stations, this animal is very unrelaxed. Was gone down into the dam. We'll try. I think she might cross onto the dam wall. This is fascinating. Isn't that amazing? I'm just going to go around here. See if we don't catch her coming up and over the wall. Can you see her? Shall I stop here, Brian? No, there she is. Yeah, but she's very unrelaxed, Tack. She's running, and I'm about 100 meters from her. She's looking at us, everybody. No idea, I'm afraid. Tax is just asking which one it is. I've got no idea. There she goes. There she goes. You hear the squirrel's alarm calling. And please do send us your screenshots, everybody, because this will be fascinating. It's going to be the best way for us to be able to identify her. There, she's going up onto the wall now. You see her there, Brian? Shall I just sneak forward? So there we go. She's out in the open now. Isn't that amazing? A brand new leopard. Oh wow. Wonder who she is. I'm sure she's the same one whose tracks we had the other day, or this morning actually, on Aubrey's Road. Try and get some screenshots, everybody. That's as tight in as we can get, I'm afraid. The best thing to do is just give her some space and time. That might be the last we see of her. Let's just go around the corner. We wanted to see a leopard we haven't seen before. Now, I know it's very tempting to go quite quickly up so that we can see down, but I think we will freak her out if we do that, so we're going to move very slowly, keep the engine just ticking very slowly over. I wonder who on earth that is. Look at the spots moving there. Let's carry on. Thankfully Rusty's not doing her over-revving trick right now. She's gone down into the drainage here. She ran from about 150 meters, everybody. That's almost 500 feet. She decided we were much too terrifying. Which means she's just not used to vehicles. So from whence has she come, Brian? One doesn't know. You see her. Got her. So the research at the moment is indicating that this is Nchila, a granddaughter of Saleyeshe, daughter of Msele. You know what, Ayan, I think I may have seen a picture of her before. She's got a very fluffy tail. And that's why she's called Nchila, I think. This is very cool, everybody. It's so nice that we've actually got a view of her. Right at the end of the lens. And we'll just go a little bit forward and we'll maybe catch her coming out the other side. It's always very tempting to move fast, but the trick, of course, I think with these leopards is to move as slowly as possible with as little fuss and noise as possible. Now she might pop off down there. She might turn south inside that thicket though. You got anything there, Brian? That might be it, everyone. But she also might cross over up onto the road. She certainly looks like she was looking for a drink. And when they're looking for a drink like that, it's quite often that they've got a kill nearby. But if this is a territorial female leopard, Louise, any idea how old she is? If this is a territorial leopardess, she's way out of her territory. This is to sort of try and take a territory. Well, no, she's still too young to be territorial in a busy leopard area. And she's not next to her mother's territory at the moment, you see. But I mean, she's only 2.5 and she looks like an adult, so she will get slightly bigger. Not much bigger, but slightly bigger. Shout if you see her, Brian. Oh, there she is. She's straight in front of us there. Unbelievable, the speed of this man on the camera. It really is quite astounding. You still see her? There we go, there we go. There she is. And you just see her moving through the bushes there. She might come out into the open in front of us if we sit very still. Let's just wait here. Not sure how much further we're going to be able to go down this road before we lose signal, but I think it's worth probably just easing our way down. Now, as with all of these animals, and Brent did an amazing job with Djuma not too long ago, that sketches, I can see her. You see where the bird just flew up? She's just behind that. You've got to be so careful about getting too close, and you've just got to let them get used to you, and they do. Then they habituate quite happily. You can hear the squirrel alarm calling. Squirrel's seen her. I'm just going to look in there. I'm not sure if I can or can't see her there. You hear the squirrels, everybody? I can't see her in there, can you, Brian?
No.
Let's ease forward again. I just saw a little bit of movement around about where Brian was showing you.
There she is.
You got her. You want to stop?
Yeah. There she is.
Oh my goodness. Brian, that is awesome. I can't actually see her. Yes, I can. Gen B, what a very, very brilliant thought. You're absolutely correct. You say, could she be looking for a consort? Definitely, at 2.5 years old, she'd be ready to have her first youngster. Maybe that's exactly what's going on, Gen B. Brilliant thought. She'll be looking for Tingana, who I don't suppose, given the time he's had with Shadow of late, would be too happy to see her, but absolutely. That definitely inspires leopards to go out of their territories. Females will always go out of their territories to go and look for mates. I mean, it's actually such a good thought that I'm deeply ashamed I didn't think of it myself. Ryan, is that as close in as we can get?
I can't go closer.
Can you just try a little closer? I just want to try and get a spot pattern because I actually can't see her. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she's a 4-5 female. That's interesting. Would everybody agree with that? Please, if you think I'm wrong, take a screenshot and let's count them, because I just got a brief view there. I would have said 4 on our left, her right, 5 on her right, our left, and that is distinctive and it's unusual. You could see those spots, and in case you're wondering what I'm talking about, you see the nose. Just under the nose, of course, you've got the whiskers, but between the nose and the whiskers you've got a line of spots. And that's quite a good way of identifying them. And she's got very marked, pronounced spots there. There, you've got 4. Small one in front, 3 behind that. It might even be considered another one behind that one. She's quite dark. Her spots are very close together. Go ahead, Herbie. And now Herbert has got a female lion going towards the pan. Copy, thank you, Herb. So the cubs might go towards the pan, but we're not going to move. We're going to stay with this leopard for now. Now I'm just going to warn Taxon, because I think he's going to come along this road. Stations, we have got long distance visual of this young female. So if you're coming along Central Road towards Gowrie Dam, just let me know and I'll keep you posted. Okay, copy that. I'm with a young female leopard just on Central, just the other side of the dam. Long distance visual, very skittish. 4-5. And if so, do we know what Nchila's spot pattern is supposed to be? Hello, Ellen Fowler, thank you very much. You say you do agree 4-5. Well, if you agree, then I must be true. Our resident leopard expert. So 4-5 spot pattern. Very pink nose, that's distinctive. Doesn't change often with leopards. They often stay the same color. So I'm just going to have to get on the radio here. Go ahead. I said go ahead. Confirm you want to make your way here. You're talking to James? Sorry everybody. We're on Central, just south of Gowrie Dam. Animal is skittish, so if you approach, you can approach from the Gowrie Dam side. Just approach very slowly. This is wonderful. Okay, copy, thank you. Okay, everybody, if you want to see the lioness that is drinking at the pan, you can go to the dam cam and have a look. It's only her. There are no cubs there at the moment, so we're going to stay with this leopard and just let her calm down in front of us. Now, I think this is a different color kind of leopard. So we've got the Karula and her kin, Tundi and Shadow, of course. They're quite pale, honey-coloured leopards. Then you've got the offspring of the old Campbell Koppie's female in Nkanyeni, who's very gold. This leopard, to me, looks dark. She's got a kind of almost brownish hue to her fur, and her spots look to me to be quite close together. Quite distinctive. I mean, I think that's quite a good way, and I might just be making nonsense here, but I think it's quite a good way of telling that she's not closely related to Karula, for example. I've never seen Salayesha. Does Salayesha look the same? There's some elephants just to the side of us. We'll just quickly have a look at them and show you that they are around here. This is wonderful. We'll just sit right here. We don't need the Gari repeater or the cheetah planes at the moment. Lion at the pan, elephants walking to the left, brand new leopard on the right, squirrels alarm calling because they can see her. Yeah, Paul, that's exactly correct. You say, is she not used to vehicles? She appears to be on edge. Paul, she's absolutely on edge. And that's because she isn't used to vehicles. They do get used to vehicles, and it doesn't take... I'm surprised she isn't, because of course her grandmother is the bulk of the Simbambili and Elephant Plains leopard viewing. I have never seen her mother in Sela, but I imagine that she's probably quite relaxed, and they normally take a cue from their mothers. I'm just going to tell Tax, because he wants to try and come here. Tax, what's your position? Yeah, it might be. She's static at the moment, Tax. We're watching her from about 40 meters. She's static at the moment in a thicket. Yeah, might be worthwhile. There's also a lioness at the pan and a breeding herd of elephants making its way to the Djuma pan. So, certainly worth your while coming up here. I'm just helping him to decide whether to come or not. Now I'm going to try and take a picture of her, Brian, except I can't actually see her with my naked eye. There she is. You think my camera can focus on her? Absolutely not. Oh dear, there's no card in the camera. It's like having no film, Brian. Disaster. I think she's rather splendid. Anybody else agree with me that she's a bit darker? Do you think she's darker, Brian?
I do.
Feel free to weigh in on the discussion.
I do agree with you, John.
Oh good, thank goodness. The world's slowest wildlife photographer will attempt a photograph. There we are. I have some spots in the thicket. Very nice. Are you happy with this position, Brian? Shall we try and go back very slightly?
Backwards would be good.
I'm going to just start the engine and go backwards very slightly, everybody. See what she does. So don't just pretend not to look at her. Just shut your eyes as I start the engine. This is the inevitable part of habituating in a leopard like this. She might move away, but that's, you know, it's part of habituating. We're just going to go back like that and stop, right? Lucia, very good question. You say, could she be on edge because this is not her territory? Yes, to a certain extent, but not from us, you know. This, I actually didn't finish answering the question about why she'd be skittish. I can only think that what's happened since she became independent is that she has not been around vehicles, because she probably lives on Buffelshoek and goes into the southern parts of the Manyeleti. It's entirely possible that she is skittish because she just doesn't see vehicles very often, and so from the time she went independent, she just hasn't seen many other cars. But yes, I suppose the fact that she is in another leopard's territory could make her nervous, but not of us. She's wonderful. Well, I mean, she's a leopard, of course she's wonderful. I've yet to meet a leopard I haven't thought was very wonderful. Her ears listening, twitching all the time, the squirrels watching her, shouting at her. and the elephants utterly oblivious as they walk past the left-hand side of us. About 30 elephants have just walked past us, everybody. Maybe not 30, maybe 20. She's definitely rather splendid. Now, if you could just look this way, I'd like to take a picture of your face, madam, so that we might have a reference. Well, all of you have taken screenshots of her face, of course, so we can use those as a reference, and thank you very much for them. And nobody else has tried to come to the sighting, which is quite nice. But they might try and come in just now, which is good. It's not a bad idea. Hello, Charlie. You say, who did I say her mother was? You thought I said Salayesha to start with, and then someone else. I did. Her mother is Nchila. Her grandmother is Salayesha. Oh, there we are. She's looking at us now. Oh, you are a very pretty thing, obviously. I'm falling into that trap, of course, the ultimate human trap. When we see a female animal of any sort, we say she's pretty, as opposed to when we see a male animal of any sort, we say, ooh, he's so big and strong. Louise says she says Sandila is pretty all the time. Good for you, Louise. You are not hampered by the conventions that I have been hampered by. Bit difficult. Louise is now trying to convince me that the millennials are not constrained by such narrow-mindedness. I'm going to leave it till I get to camp to answer that question for her. I'm not sure I'd describe Tingana as pretty. Louise, would you describe Tingana as pretty? Tingana, apparently, according to Louise, is not pretty. Brian, he is a
beefcake.
A beefcake, indeed. She thinks that's ridiculous, you see. Come across the dam, Tax, and then you'll see my car on the road here. Just come very slowly. I think she'll sit for you. So just keep coming. She's about maybe 40 meters off the road in the thicket. Yeah, Mary, you say she's so distinctive it almost looks like she's got a backward S on her forehead. Yeah, I don't know if it's just the way my mind works, but I struggle to see some of the spot patterns that many of you do, and I'm not for 1 second saying you don't see them. Absolutely you do, because your identification of these animals, the hyenas especially, I think that's the most impressive thing, but it's almost invariably accurate. For me, it's the spot patterns and the nose are the only things I'm able to really use, unless it's something really obvious like the wow on the front of Kruger. And Brian, I'm just going to ask you to slip the camera to the left slightly for the 5-ton elephant bull heading this way. Da. I don't really want to move, so we're just going to see if he... She's now gone to sleep, everyone, so don't worry about that. I'm watching her. I'm watching him too. in case he tries to remove Brian from the back of the car, but I don't think he's going to do that. Isn't he wonderful? He's just kind of given us a bit of a look, and now he's carrying on. And that was a little bit of flatulence as he went by. Thank you very much, Mr. Elephant Bull. Gracie, aged 9, you say, don't I wish we could understand elephant talk? Absolutely, I wish we could. Gracie, I think we'd learn so much from elephants. I think we'd have great fun if we could A, understand them, and B, talk to them. Let's go back to the leopard, which is now fast asleep over there. Right, we're going to try and bring Taxon into the sighting, so we'll just get a nice focus on her and see what she does. Now, Taxi, just move straight in here. Now, Taxon, of course, is now hampered by his ability to move in here because there is a 5-ton elephant in his way. That is not showing any signs of getting out of the way. There it goes. It's just moving slightly off. And the lioness apparently is moving across the dam wall towards the Gari cut line. I think being followed by, I did see a vehicle following him. Okay, I think she's going to sit tight. Tax, come in as close as you can to the back of me. And let's see what she does when the new vehicle comes in. Yeah, she's lifting her head. She'll probably look round. Hoi Yvonne. Hi tsutsumile ngopfu mara sweswi ya etlela. Just telling Tax. She hasn't moved. Now I look like a complete idiot because I've said she's unrelaxed. Go ahead, Sally. Yeah, absolutely. Tax just pulled up and she didn't even lift her head, so yeah, go for it. And the lioness has just been spotted by in the vehicle. Brian's just looking to see if we can spot her too. The leopard now totally unconcerned, so I look like a complete moron. I'm told everybody's so skittish, probably not worth your while coming here. There we are. Yeah, Shamel, you say maybe she's skittish due to the lions nearby. Yeah, that's possible. It's definitely possible. I don't know where she's come from. I'm pretty sure these were the tracks. Hers must have been the tracks that Jamie saw. The other thing is, you know, she's now in a thicket, and a leopard doesn't like to be caught out in the open. And we did catch her out in the open a bit, drinking. Very vulnerable. All animals feel very vulnerable when they're in the open and they're drinking. And so maybe that's just what made her a bit nervous. But it could be the presence of lions. I just think her tracks come from a different spot from where the lions are. Ah. Now there's a wonderful insight coming from Tristan in Simbambili. Tristan says that it looks like Nchila, but also Nchila had a sister that was much more unrelaxed, and they were both viewed as cubs, and that the sister was that much more unrelaxed. So maybe it's the sister? I don't know. Whatever the case, she's now much more relaxed than she was when we started, which is great. I can't believe we're having this sighting. I really am amazed. Now, let's see if we can get hold of Tristan again and ask him if he knows what the spot pattern of Nchila's sister was. She's got quite a distinctive scar across the front of her nose as well, which you can't quite see where you're sitting. Just keep an eye out for that lion. I think she's headed off to the north. And in the background, I'm not going to ask Brian to give us the call, because that will definitely frighten the leopard, but the hardy-down ibis making its Saturday afternoon presence felt. Don't do it, Brian. You'll frighten the leopard. Will be frightened, terrified. Hardy-down ibis is a bird, everyone, with a very long beak. I'm now double whispering, of course, because although I don't want the leopard to run away, I also don't want her to disturb the other people around here watching the sighting. Yeah, she's much darker than I think any other leopard I've ever seen. And it's not just that her rosettes and spots seem very close together. It's that her fur in between them is brown. It's not honey-coloured like Karula's or golden like Nkaniani's. So thank you once again to those of you who managed to point out and kept your eyes on the dam cam. And Tristan's now going to hopefully give us the spot pattern of both of them. Nchila and... oh, she's sleeping now. Brilliant. Well, everyone, the only kind of negative of this is that she's really smack bang in the middle of Karula's territory, which means she ain't going to be around here for long. But as Jen B said, she could well be looking for a consort. She's going to be a little bit jealous at the moment, of course, because Tingana is with Shadow on Arathusa. But what is interesting is that I have seen, and it is not uncommon, for 2 female leopards in estrus to be with one male, both demanding his attentions and indeed receiving his attentions. So that's not too uncommon. That would be quite a sight for us to see here. Now, I mean, she's completely relaxed now. I don't know what she'd do if we tried to go closer. I don't think we're going to. Not sure how very skittish she was to start with. Sun's starting to sink now. Little wind blowing in from the northeast, sorry. And as the seasons have changed, so that wind has changed from being a northwester or a southeaster to a little, almost offshore northeaster, sorry. Always get that wrong. I don't know why it is that I cannot pick my east from my west when I wish to. And it's quite nice that people are talking on the backs of the cars here and having a little laugh, because the more used to the human voice she gets, the more likely she will be to relax completely around people. Like I say, I mean, if you just pulled into the sighting, you'd say I was mad. Now, apparently, Ria, you are asking whether Brent saw this leopard a few weeks ago, and Jerry is confirming, despite the fact that she's wearing a giraffe suit onesie in the final control. Yes, that is true if you've just joined us. Brent apparently has seen this leopard before, so you've definitely seen her. And she was seen on Arathusa, which makes sense. So, if she is who we think she is, or the sister of who we think she is, she's coming into the time when, yes, she might be thinking about mating now, and she'll be trying to eke out a territory next to her mother's. But of course her grandmother is still alive, and they are slightly hamstrung or prevented from expanding to the north by the Manileti fence. So she might go into Manileti, which means she won't find a huge number of vehicles. Could explain her slight skittishness. But she's also sandwiched between Kruger to the east of where she was born, Shadow to the south, her grandmother to the far west, the grand old dame of the west, Salayeshe. And thankfully for her, and her sister no doubt, Salayeshe's current cub I think is a male if I'm not mistaken. And that means he must move away. He won't set up a territory next to his mother's. So I think if no one minds, I think we'll probably just sit with her and see what she does. We can go and try and find something else, but given the fact that we have dodgy signal this afternoon, I think it's probably worthwhile just sitting and watching and seeing what she does. Look how black the top of her head is. Well, great question, Bud, in North Carolina, you say. What are the chances of seeing 6 leopards in one day like this? Very small, Bud. Highly unusual. Very unusual. And what an amazing thing it was. I mean, the record that I know of is 9. 9 in one sighting. I'm not sure exactly what the makeup was. Well, that was in one sighting. We saw 5 in one sighting today. And a 6th just knocking about. Yesterday, sorry. Sorry, Louise. Stern correction there coming out of the final control. Whew. Yeah, she's chilling out now. I mean, this, as they say, ain't her first rodeo. But it's not, she's not the most experienced rodeo rider. Which means she's just a little weary. It's also getting darker. She's in some much thicker bush. So I think she's pretty happy now. Hello, Renee in Wisconsin. You're wondering whether leopards feel more relaxed sleeping in a tree than on the ground. Renee, to some extent, yes. And sometimes you see leopards sleeping in trees almost for safety so that they can relax. They're not very comfortable up there, you know. I think they'll actually possibly worry about falling out if they fall asleep completely. And very seldom do you see them soundly sleeping in a tree for any length of time. Kruger does it, actually. But very few other leopards that I've known actually go and rest in a tree as opposed to rest on the ground like this. It's much more comfortable for them to lie on their sides like she's doing, as opposed to sort of draped over a tree. And I've tried to drape myself over a tree, and it's not comfortable. Everything kind of is in the wrong place. There's spiky bits that stick into you. So, yeah. And Tex is just moving a bit now. He's trying to get a better view, which is a good idea. Let's see what she does. She's up. Well, her head's up. Ah, now Raisa, thank you very much, all the way from Finland. That's astounding. And Sele's other cub had a 3-4 spot pattern. This is definitely then must be Nchila, because that ain't no 3-4 spot pattern. That looks very 4-5 to me. So yeah, I'm going to go with Nchila. We might try a slightly closer approach, just as the sun has peeped down below the horizon. Andrew, good question, and yes, you're absolutely correct. There's the sun going down. You say, would Karula be more aggressive towards a female who was not related to her? Absolutely she would. She would not tolerate the presence of this leopard in her territory. She'd be very cross. I mean, I say that, but you know, you saw that Shadow had quite a nasty wound on her today, and we don't really know why that happened or who gave it to her. It's unlikely Tingana gave it to her. So the only other thought is that Karula chased her off. So I don't know how she got that wound, but in theory, the textbooks will tell you that she would be in far greater danger from Karula than, say, Shadow or any other related leopard. I'm not going to put a light on her, everybody, so once the sun goes down and it gets a bit dark, we'll carry on and see what else we can see. And like I say, we are very limited by the space in which we can move today. Approach here and see what we can find. Are you ready, Brian?
I'm ready.
I think keep the camera on her and let's see. This is not too bad, is it, Brian? I wonder what she was so skittled by. Ooh, that's quite nice. How's that? She's got very pretty eyes. But you can see she's watching us, and there you can definitely see the fall. Oh, that is a really nice shot, Brian.
Try to take a photo.
I'm going to take an amazing photo, Brian. It's got a stick in front of it, though. It's very irritating. Here we go. Open your eyes, little Nchila. Oh, listen to the bearded woodpecker there making his final tapping noise of the day. Ellen in Arkansas, you're wondering if she would, if Karula's offspring would be competition for her in this area. Definitely, but Karula doesn't have any female offspring that are not territorial other than young Shongile. Shongile won't be trying to take a territory for the next at least a year, normally. So, no, there wouldn't be a Karula offspring that she'd compete with at the moment. Yeah, just come along Central Road. Animal is still static. And so, you know, Karula's latest offspring, but before these two were two males, they've kind of headed off into the ether, which is what male leopards do, quarantine sometimes around this area, but he would have no effect on female territoriality in the area. So no, there are no female Karula offspring that are not territorial already, and therefore she wouldn't really be squeezed in this particular area by a Karula offspring. That said, these territories do shift around a bit. We have seen Shadow this far north, we've seen Tundi this far north, but I think they're just incurring into their mother's territory. I think this leopard, as Gen B said, could well be coming into estrus and seeking out a mate. Splendid, Brian, splendid. Hello, Aqua. You say thank you for staying with this leopard so that we could get an ID. Aqua, believe me, it has not been a trial in the slightest. I've had a thoroughly good time sitting with a brand new leopard, even though she ain't been doing a whole lot. It's been lovely to be with her. Thank you for watching and sending us through your comment. The vehicle just moving in. Aye, Ekomiza. Just lifted her head slightly to have a look at the new arrivals. They're quite blue eyes, those, aren't they? When they're open. When she bothers to open her eyes. I can't believe that original sighting of her herring off across the damn wall has resulted in this. Oh, now, nice comment from Tristan at Simbambili, who says that this is definitely Nchila. Thank you for that, Tristan. You say that Tiani Salayesha's current cub is in fact a female. And that radio broadcast you heard was Tax just saying that he can hear the lion cubs in the drainage line where we went to try and find them today, or where we lost them when they disappeared in there. She's got a bit of a itch on the end of her nose. Very tired. Brian, don't fall asleep. It can be very soporific to watch a leopardess closing her eyes, or a lion falling asleep. You get a sympathy nod off. You can see, just like all leopards when they sleep, they drop off like this, and then they wake up again. As soon as a sort of sound touches their ears, or a slightly strange smell touches their nostrils, they wake up and look. Cannot afford to sleep completely soundly, and I mean, nothing else could have shown that better than the wild dogs yesterday, which completely changed the situation. No one expected them to come in. She was given a fright there by a black-crowned chagra that just flew out behind her. Faith Ann, you're a new viewer. It's lovely to have you with us. Thank you for A, watching, and B, taking the time to send us a question. You say, how do you choose the leopards' names? Well, this is it's a source of great conflict in these areas, Faith Ann. Not for the leopards, they couldn't care less. But can you see the bird behind her there? It's shouting at her, it's on the ground. Oh, there she goes. Faith Ann, normally what happens is, when they're found, on whosever property they found, the rangers, or the senior rangers there, will decide on the name. So, for example, Shongile and Hosana, who are the two offspring of the leopard we see the most, that's Karula, the queen of Djuma, they were named by Taxon and Aubrey, who are the senior rangers on Djuma, and that's because the two little cubs were born on Djuma. Now, in this case, I'm not sure where. I think probably on Simbambili. Tristan will be able to tell us. I suspect they were born on Simbambili, and that's where they got their names. But often there's quite a lot of conflict over the naming of leopards, which I find rather amusing. I can't bring myself to become too passionate about it because they really don't care. If you go down south of the Sabi sand, she at the moment would probably be known as the 4-5 female or 4-5 young female, and that's because they don't tend to give them names like we do up here in the north. And the idea there is that it keeps them more wild. It gives the impression that they're more wild. In actual fact, all that happens is that people then start calling them should be known as 4-5 or 4E or 4-5E or something like that, in which case it really doesn't make any difference at all. Mind Warp, hello Mind, hello Mind Warp. You say, do I know if anyone has moved into the territory of Kwatile? Now Kwatile, a recently deceased leopard, we think killed by a snake perhaps, and it lived sort of south of Arathusa and into the northern parts of Londolozi, and you want to know if anyone's taken over her territory. I think what's happening here, there is a leopardess who has moved north towards her territory. I also think that her death has resulted in us seeing much less of Shadow. I think Shadow has moved further south, and the leopard to the south of Kwatile's territory has moved north. And I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing much less of Shadow at the moment, because I think she has taken up residence in the northern parts of Kwatile's territory, which makes perfect sense, given that Karula, too, seems to have moved slightly further south. She doesn't spend much time up towards... She generally comes up into this area here, halfway through Djuma. Sometimes she goes into Buffelshoek to the north of us, but normally she has been concentrating quite a long way to the south of us. And I think that all of that movement is probably largely a result of the demise of the hapless Kwatile. You can just feel the night changing now. You can see the sun has gone down. The birds are calling their last. There's the whirring of the white-browed scrub robin. There's a Cape glossy starling going. There you can hear it. We heard the bearded woodpecker making his last territorial. One or two doves having a spat before they go to sleep to roost. But thank you, Brian. Thank you for doing it in a subdued fashion, so that the leopard did not get up in disgust and run away. So as you can see, everybody, my original interpretation of this leopard's behaviour completely accurate. She's absolutely terrified of us, really doesn't know what to do with herself. I'm going completely sarcastic now. She is fast asleep, completely relaxed. Whether she'd be so if we walked or drove next to her, I don't know. Justin, you want to know if a leopard was fully stretched out, how long would it be? Well, the length of a leopard from tail to nose, I'm going to say, is probably about 6 feet. I'm just going to look that up for you. Well, probably about 6 feet, I'd say. Maybe a little bit longer with the tail. Without the tail, probably about 4.5 feet long. They're not very tall. Would you say that's about right, Brian?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I'll just look it up for you quickly, everyone. Just in case I've told you a lie. Which would be dreadful, wouldn't it, Brian? Horrible.
I would say 8 feet with a tail.
Would you? That long? Oh dear. I always hate it when that happens, because normally I'm wrong. Female, 140 centimeters for a huge female. No, can't be that. That's 1.4 meters, which is, yeah, that's probably about right then. That's head to back. I don't think that's including the tail. Sorry, everybody. You've now got me thinking. I haven't been asked that before, certainly not for a long time, and now I'm desperately flummoxed. HB, head and body length. Right, there we go. T is tail. Right, so there we go. I can tell you exactly. A small female, 164 centimeters in length. That is 1.6 meters, which is roughly 5'5". A very big leopard, 100 with including tail. Oh, this is much bigger. Would be 250 centimeters, 2.5 meters, which would be roughly 8 feet. So that would be a very big leopardess. We'll put it somewhere in between that for this one. I don't think she's particularly big. I don't think she's particularly small either. So we're going to make her at roughly... What do you think, Brian? I'm going to say... we'll give her an even 180 centimeters, 1.8, just under 6 foot. There you are. Phew, I'm glad neither of us were wrong, Brian. Aren't you relieved? Yes. It's very nice when the books give you a very wide range of options. Now, they do change in size, of course, leopards. I don't mean she will change in size. She will remain roughly the same size for the rest of her days. But if you go down towards the Cape, in the Cape Mountains, you'll get much smaller leopards there. And into the Middle East, they'll be even smaller there. And I suppose these leopards are pretty much also some of the bigger ones that you'll find. So maybe she's a bit bigger than 6 feet. There are also some of the sleepier ones, as you can see. It's interesting how her colour seems to have changed slightly as the light has started to fade. It doesn't look quite so brown, a bit more copper, but she's definitely got less yellow in her. Right, Pyjamas Patterson is still knocking about. She's just finished her shoot. So let's go and find out how that went for her. I think we don't have much time left on the drive, so I think we'll sit with her until the end of the drive and enjoy her new company. Let's go and find out what Jamie's got to tell you.